But there is definitely a double standard to how non-Irish nationals are viewed compared to Irish nationals. It just has to be said that the racist attitudes in Ireland are getting out of control and just disgusting. Granted, we're not all like this. The attitudes of regressive racism does not represent the Irish as a group. But when it does show its ugly face, that's disturbing enough. It's bad enough that the housing crisis, the healthcare crises, the massive amounts of inflations are often blamed on the foreigners or immigrants. But there is definitely a double standard to how non-Irish nationals are viewed compared to Irish nationals. There is this troubling tendency to assume, and in many if not most cases without evidence, that a person of colour in my country is more likely to commit a crime. So not so long ago, I went onto my own personal Facebook page, which is not often that I do so. For those of you who follow me know that I tend not to have much interest in the mainstream social media platforms. I tend to mostly post on Bluesky and Mastodon. But that's an entirely different issue. So anyhow, I go onto my Facebook and I see this post from a user who I no longer follow anymore, and with good reason. Anyway, posting publicly to their own feed, they utter the phrase, "I feel like a stranger in my own country." Firstly, anyone who thinks like that, you're racist. Plain and simple, you are a racist and your entire mindset is regressive. You are pushing us back socially and progressively. And secondly, it is so cringy to have this take in 2025. I'd also like to point out that a stranger is a person you haven't met yet. It doesn't matter what a person's cultural or ethnic background is. A human is a human, and any human being has the potential to be your friend. But these people don't think like that. They have closed themselves off to that. They have closed themselves off to any potentiality of this. Perhaps in a way, there are strangers in my own country, but those strangers are not simply people who are not Irish. In fact, it is the racists themselves who are the real strangers. Because if you are racist, you are the biggest stranger of them all, as far as I am concerned. I would never want to be associated with or linked with anyone who thinks like that. Because that mindset is so strange to me. I cannot resonate with people who think so narrowly. There was an article I read quite recently from the Irish Times, and I posted a skeet about it right after I read it. And I quote, "I am really disappointed with the racist attitudes from certain individuals in my country. I am disgusted that this degrading mindset still exists today in Ireland. These people are holding society back." What I was referring to in that article, and its title says it all, and no, it's not clickbait, man violently assaulted and partially stripped by gang in Tallaght. So the man in question was originally from India and was assumed to be, without any evidence by the way, of being inappropriate to children, which is a common accusation from the far right, by the way. It was later discovered that this defamation was spread by far right online groups and those with anti-immigration mentalities. This proves once again that the right, particularly the far right, ruin everything. To understand the full scope and depth to what these racist thugs did to this man, a group of young men attacked this gentleman from India, left him bleeding from multiple wounds, and had him partially stripped, before a passerby eventually came to his aid. What these pieces of shit did to this man is disgusting. It is degrading, it is dehumanizing, it should not be happening in this day and age. Something that is pointed out by a lot of non-nationals is that there is this double standard of many being so quick to assume that a person of colour has nefarious intent, which is completely without merit, without evidence, without rationale, without logic, and it is not based in reality. And I make this point by firstly quoting directly from the Irish Times article in question. Earlier this week, Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan said he was aware of instances of foreign nationals being falsely accused of crimes. Increasingly, You hear people blaming immigrants for crimes. All I can say to you is, I have asked for the statistics, and when you look at the prison population of people convicted of offences, the percentage of immigrants in prison is lower than the percentage of immigrants in society. In fact, data from the Irish Prison Service from September 30th, 2023 reported that there were 4,581 inmates in custody, and approximately 14.9% of those were non-Irish nationals. Because surprise, surprise, that flavour of racism doesn't hold up to scrutiny. In fact, no form of racism, or any form of discrimination, ever does. If you have these narrow views, these reactionary attitudes, you are without a doubt a racist. Stop blaming the foreigners on everything our government has been doing wrong. Because here's the other interesting thing. Most of these anti-immigration racists, well, most of them, they're the ones who tend to keep on voting for the centrist establishment parties such as Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil over and over again. So then we continue the vicious cycle of capitalism failing and falling apart. The cost of living gets worse, the housing crisis continues, inflation goes skyrocket, but yet they keep on voting for the political parties that cause all of this over and over and over again. They don't stop to think, not even for a moment, maybe who we're voting for is the real problem. Blaming the foreigners is not just racist, it's lazy, it's irresponsible, and it is the acts of cowards. What exactly is going on in the world that in 2025 people still have to be reminded not to be racist? For all those out there, not just in Ireland but globally, if you have these narrow views, start learning to become a better person, because this ain't it. Not even close. Once again, I welcome you to post your views on this topic down below in the comment section. Just please remember to respect others as you do so. If you wish to leave a video response, you can submit your video responses to the Nerdykeet Reddit page. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.